Okay, so first I want to say another person shared a page or a creator's content that they like called Solara Speaks. They wrote it in the thing. It's like SOLARAH or something, Speaks, in their YouTube channel. So because I know a lot of people, especially when I was out seeking, I was devouring information. So that is another one for people who are in that state, you know. Right now, the one I'm in, when I go and I try and listen, it's like I can't. It is like it's like I have to keep the voices in my head at the front. I can't go and listen what other people are saying. It's like it starts putting their messages, what they're saying. It like interferes, even when it's similar. Like I always like the little clips I'll see on TikTok or something. Even with that Bashar guy, like I don't know what his stuff is. Because even when I was watching a bunch of channelers, I didn't ever watch Cryon. I didn't ever watch Abraham Hicks. Every time I start to say this guy's name, and his name has Hart in it even, because everybody was totally into his book for a while. I've never read that book. And so there's a lot of channelers, you know, like I don't know. I think the ones that I even know are probably just more like not well-known ones, and more of ones that I have watched when I was seeking. So I don't know, but when I'll see because a lot of people share these clips of these different people saying something, you know, and like that Bashar guy, I've heard him say a couple things where I was like, okay, he's saying like the same things and he's just saying kind of different. That must be the thing. It's because we're all on different wavelengths. We're all on it, like we all hear and understand things differently. So it's like all of us who can, I don't know, hear them. To me, it isn't just like I hear them. Like I'm trying to help people be able to hear them. But to me, this was I was born for this. I mean, if you understood my life, like it would make more sense. And again, I try and explain it and stuff, but it was like I didn't have choices a lot of times in my life. Like there was no giving up. There was no going dark or anything. I had strong guidance since I was little. And even when things were tough or hard for me, they were always telling me, like, explaining to me a purpose and stuff. Like I've lived a very different life than when, you know, and I didn't realize how different. Like when I would try and talk about deep shit, people don't want to talk about that. What do you think football's for? And so, I know it's hard for people to really wrap their heads around that there were people who were kind of like isolated from the group. Like there's a group mind, and then there was some of us who were standing on the outside of the group mind because we didn't fit in. And that's the weird thing, how they show me these visuals, how everybody was looking in, but they're gonna start looking towards those of us who were standing out there. But it wasn't, this is where I want to be so clear about this, because I don't want anybody to think like, you know, like I'm better than other. No, it's like it was supposed to be. Like I didn't have any other choice. It wasn't like I was doing better than all of you. I did so much better. No, I was being, and I just thought we all were. That's what threw me in 2020 when all of a sudden I realized, what? Like, it confused me during, because I kept thinking, you know, I'd even say, well, what do your guides say? Like, what do they say in your head? And people would just be like, what are you talking about? And I'd start talking about things that they would tell me about, and people would think I was weird. So it's just been my life's journey. So I just want to be clear about that. There's a purpose to all this. And I didn't see it before, but it just is like they keep showing me. It's because everything is going to change, and we need people who were going that other direction. So there had to be people that were like me, that were born with this the clear contact, I guess. I don't know what else to call it, but I get real like, I don't know, not paranoid or something. I just get like, where I don't want people to think like there's something wrong with them because they didn't do that. Like they should have been doing this when they were 3. They should have been doing this when they were 6. They should, don't think that way, because seriously, there's roles. We are born into roles. This is so clear to me. This is a role I was born into. I was born for this role. So whatever is going to happen with all this, it's for a reason. It's for a purpose. It's not just about me. This is where people have got to start realizing the change that's occurring. It's like going through the micro macro. It's like knowing your place in playing your part, but it isn't like, it's like not getting up your own ass about it. Not just getting all thinking you're better than other people and stuff. Like we're changing into, it's just working better together. It's just like there was a created conflict that just was so, it created a lot of chaos and conflict with people, but it was all for people to grow. And there was so much right now. Like there was lives you could come in and live, and you would, throughout your history of living, you could come in and live, 30 years, like what I'm seeing, like a 30-year kind of lifespan in like a pioneer kind of setting where you were just you and the elements and stuff. Because keep in mind, there was a lot of those kinds of people. It wasn't just tribe people. There was also the people who like were living, there wasn't like choices, That's why they swooped in to make them. They had to come in. Oh, there's a spot we can take over. Let's take over the fucking world. So, but there was a lot of lifespan lives. Like there was the traumas that you would go through, like, losing a child. Like there's so much about, in different past lives and stuff about child loss and stuff. There was so much, but when you go and listen to people about the past life regressions and stuff, then you see there's so much purpose. There was such points to all of it. And so but you could come in and live like that, and it not have just like trauma after trauma. Every day is a hard day to get up. How am I going to do it today? It was like impactful things, but you weren't just slam like we are now. And so it's like the energy is switching because it's about to go back. It's like the energy is going. It's going to go back like that. And I'm seeing so many cool videos explaining about like the frequency and the vibration, and that's what holds us. That's what holds us everywhere, is our frequency. Everything, that's where they came up with the gravity or whatever, but it's all about the frequency. You can't go. That's why, even if they try and slam through the firmament with rockets and shit, you can't leave your frequency. You're stuck. The frequency holds you. And that is why, as all this is going on, which I saw, this was kind of interesting, was I saw this content creator the other day, and she has a podcast. I don't know her name or anything. Some of y'all may even know who she is. But she focuses on the politics aspect of what's going on. And but hyper focuses on that, But she gives a lot of good content. That's why I said, like, everybody's playing roles, like, and she plays hers well. And but the other day, she started saying, there's a lot of people like looking at this in different ways. And she said the first 2 ways. I can't remember. One, like, we got to go in and change this through voting and all that kind of stuff. And the second one, I can't remember what she said about the second one. But the third one, she said, and there's a whole other group of people that believe what's going on here. Okay, so the first group feels like they need a vote. Maybe it's the second group feels like it's the end of the world. We're all going to be in 15 minutes each. I don't know, but we all know what we're talking about, right? But there's a third group, and they think everything that's going on right now is all about the awakening. It's about getting us to wake up and realize what's going on so we make the changes that we want. And see, that's where I'm at. That's what I believe, 100%. And it comes from just how I've watched it played out. And then plus the strong inner knowing, my strong inner knowing that leads me and always has, like I'm telling you, I have been able to go with my gut and been laughed at by a whole fucking, you just got to keep going. You got to go. Man, this is hard because like what I'll be shown, it's like, oh, fuck. That's it's just programming. It is hard things to break through to, man, I don't know how to explain this. Because you have like your inner feelings. You have like your inner knowing and stuff. But when you're focused more on being liked or feeling bad about yourself or needing acceptance, then those voices are louder. So you hear those voices more. And that is why, like, I'm always talking about this. Like, you got to learn how to quiet those voices. The only way you can learn to quiet everybody else's voices in your head is learning to love yourself. There's a reason why you're tuned into everybody's voices. That's that thing that you need to come at it like that. Like, why is everybody else's voice so loud? Why do I care so much? Why do I care what they think and stuff? Because when you start going down to what the things are we care about, they're just like rules. They're rules. It's like going in, like when you're a teenager and you go to your friend's house, it's just their rules. You go to this friend's house, they've got their rules, It's just all these rules. And then, so the way they were taught or the way they believe or how they think a good person is, and through their generations. And then, so that's how they pinpoint their rules. And so then and it's all based on so much trauma. Like, just look at our history as human beings. And you can understand the trauma. If you understand reincarnation, you can understand the trauma that your soul has been through. And what is crazy is that the traumas that we've been through, we're with the people that we've been through them with. We should all be running around high-fiving each other all the time, not arguing over masks and shit. But there's so many people who are so lost. They're just so lost. Like how I see it is that, their spirit is just, it's not turned on. It's like they can't hear it because they're so loud. The voices are so loud. Everybody else's voices are so loud. And they forget. And it's so crazy because so many people think, well, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. But they got no spirit in them. No spiritual connection. It blows my mind. As like, even with, my mom or my sister, when I would talk about spiritual things, like the spirit, like when I was talking about when my stepdad was dying, and my sister was like, oh, I got to go see him. I've got to go tell him in his ear. I was like, well, you just talk to him. He can hear you. And she's like, she thought I was so fucking weird. It was the weirdest conversation. And I'm just like, what do you think a soul is? Like, I'm totally weirded out. Like, what do you think a soul is? Like, no conversation. I went to my mom. It's like, okay, I'm so confused. So you believe in souls, but you don't, like, what is a soul to you guys? Like, what the fuck? Like, you think it's like this little part of you that as soon as your body passes, it goes in the elevator and just shoots up? Like, what in the hell? It is a bizarro world. I don't understand how there can be all these people who claim to be, no, religion. But that is where I see, like, religion is not being spiritual. You can be religious and be cut off from your spirit. You see it all the fucking time. They don't have a clue what a spirit is, what it does, why it's here, nothing. Just, it's the book. And I've even seen, actually, there's this one TikTok girl. I don't know what her deal is, because I don't know. I just, something with their energy, I just always have to go by. There's just something, I don't know what it is. It's like these super spiritual people that are out there, and they're just like, oh, and it's and then they'll, I don't know, there's just, there's so much things that people are pretending. There's so much pretending like this is what it should be, which is fine because you don't know what it really is, but you got to find it really inside you. You can't just pretend to be something and then lead everybody else into pretending. Everybody's got to sink into it. You got to go into yourself and feel it. You can't. And then when you see the people, they start, when real matters happen, their attitudes start changing and stuff. And it's like, we start getting so confused. It's like these love and light people, like, what's happening? I don't understand. I'm trying so hard. I keep focusing on the love and it just keeps on happening. It's like, because that's not what you're supposed to do. And learn about spiritual. Learn about spiritual practice. Learn about spiritual life. Learn about balance. And, and realizing what is this place. Like, but like I said, when I'm saying stuff like that, it is because it is so much a part of me. It was like I couldn't go off of, I've always had them with me. I've always known that there's watchers. I've always known that there was a bigger story going on. I've always known that there's people always with me. I've always known, like, if you go do something nasty, there's people watching. And that's the part that is bothering. It's not the people watching. It is you. You're showing something. You're revealing something of yourself. That's the part that is where people will feel shame and guilt and stuff. They're showing something of themselves. And one thing too is a lot of people get caught up, and you notice that it can be caught up in emotions, like the chemicals in our minds. That's why we got to learn this mastery, because people who have like certain hormones, say, they overtake them, that start being just consumed by those hormones, which I don't know how much dark energy they have on them, how much they're in there. Ooh, being real nice right now. Let's go up in there. Let's get in the dark. I just saw a guy who just said he's a horror writer. He writes horror movies or horror stories or something like that. And so he goes on to do research onto the dark web, and he ran across something that was very, very disturbing. And so now he says he keeps getting threatening messages. He keeps having things where he feels like he's being followed and shit, like creepy shit. And the thing he saw was creepy as fuck. It was, but you know what the red rooms are. You know what the dark web is. You know why they take so many people, because it entertains. Like, go watch Hostel, man. Go watch it if you can find it. If you're confused about what this world is, it's entertainment for the rich. And there's a lot of people who tried to get up there to be rich and didn't even know what rich was all about. And so, oh yeah, I was watching this movie last night. I was going to watch I just like watching old movies. So I was going to watch this old campy vampire movie on Plex because I know it's there. So, and no commercials. So I went on to there, but there was some new movies he had put on. And so one of them was called Deflator, something. It was weird. So I went on to look at the trailer, and it was a time period piece, which I like, a vampire time period. So it's more back where the stories came from with the vampires. And so I thought this was very interesting. They're so creepy too. So this was so creepy because it's out of the Bram Stoker vampire book, or Dracula, and it's out of this section called Demeter or something, whatever this word is, that it was the name of the ship. And so back when all these ships were, that everybody traveled by ships. And so people, like I said, that there was all sorts of people who were going to places and already were settled before the crown came in and took over the lands and claimed it and said, this is America. This is what America is, and, all that bullshit. But there was already people here. They just took it away from the people, killed them, enslaved them, all that business, or either gave them a bunch of money and made them rich to help them enslave the other people. There's all sorts of practices going on, depended on your morals, where you landed, where when things went. But that's always said, the soul, you're playing a role and you're seeing yourself. And it's so weird because it's not just about you seeing yourself, although that's a part of it. It is about the role, is all these roles, like where people think all these, uh, um, like they think of it as like, in my life, if I went that way or I went that way, then it started a whole new thing. Like all of those, if I went that way, all of those possibilities exist. But all those possibilities are being played out right in front of you. They're all being played out all around us. So all the possibilities exist, but we're all playing them. So it's not just you would just play out all those. No, you are playing out all those possibilities, but you are looking like a whole bunch of different people. So if you get, like, is how we see it, like everything is being played out. And so all the possibilities are necessary for the universe to understand itself. So all possibilities, that's why for us to try and control others and tell them, and you should do it this way, you should do it. No, they all have to play out, all by how that person is your part, is your perspective. It's so cool too. Like when you can see it, because the pictures you see and stuff aren't like this picture is like, it's like color and movement and stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like you got to go and just keep working on your communication, because the communication and telepathy is different. It's like they give you picture, like, okay, like ink blot pictures, only you understand what the ink blot means. It's like, and sometimes ink blot's moving, and sometimes ink blot goes out and makes a whole big fucking video. Like it's all sorts of things, but it is like ink blots that you'll understand. And so that is, to keep working on your communication, no matter, and I don't know how frustrating it's going to be. I can't say. All I can say is that the noise interferes, and the noise is the everybody else's voice that you're concerned with, because you want to please other people so you can feel good about yourself. But everybody's playing all different parts. We're not supposed to be doing that part. But this is where we're learning it. This is an expansion for the soul. It's not like if we did these things in our other lives that would matter. That was a separate. We were learning different things. Right now we're learning something different. We're learning how to access ourselves and how to develop ourselves and how to become it's like our best self. It's an elevation, evolution, and is an expansion. And that is because all of the universe is a huge expansion right now. It's because this changing of the ages. It is the energy was going this one direction, and then it can't go further that direction. It's got to turn, and it goes, and it's going the other direction, and it's going to explode. That's why I keep talking about this, it's coming, and I can feel it coming in. It comes in waves. And yesterday it was like another one of those long drawn out days where it's just like, oh my God. Because the days when the energy's coming in, it feels so good. It's so exciting. You can feel so much movement. You can feel things changing. And then it goes into a stagnation. And as like the wave going, and then it's going to come back. And each one, it seems like, but one of these waves is going to be the wave of change. One of them is the other ones is like bringing it. It is like bringing in the energy, like it comes in with every wave. It's coming in, and then but there's going to be this big wave, and that is where there's so much stuff with September, because there's some sort of declaration, like another one of these, well, when we're going to start World War, some kind of, just there keeps being all this shit, and then nothing happens. So I don't know if it's just to keep stressing us out or if it really is just to keep waking people up. I just saw the mugshot. So the mugshot, the original mugshot, he changed it. Well, who knows if it was him? I'm sure the computer person working with him changed it. But it took half the face. It took off the watermark, the government watermark off of it or whatever. And then they took off this part of the face and they put Joe's face. Because if you overlay Joe's face on it, because Joe's the one who's going down. Like this is, it is all about this two sides of the coin. I keep trying to tell people. And people keep thinking, no, it's a giant side. You're going in fear. When you understand about spiritual, when you understand things on another level of this place, you'll see things more clearly. You got to go up that ladder, though. You got to work yourself out of fear, 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 fear. And so all these different people who have all these different accounts, who are out there, they've got, but I was really cool when I saw her say that. Because even if her whole podcast is all about following the politics, at least, she gets, like, this is all about change. This is all about sovereignty. This is all about freedom. This is all about independence, which is all about the age of Aquarius. And so when you see it being forced on people, or you see, more homes being lost, and then the absurdity of the whole thing to show you that there's a magic happening here, where Alexa is sitting there telling us the disaster, how many people died, how many people lost their house, all that shit the day before it happens. And I don't even know if it's accurate. I don't know the numbers that she was saying, if they were accurate. She was saying 7,000 dead. And, and we still have the huge Hawaii disaster, which I would think, they keep it keeps edging up little by little, but I bet you it's way more closer to 10 or 20,000 people. I mean, a whole fucking town. all those old people, all those kids, like, it was just, I don't know. I mean, there's lots of people who aren't in school, lots of, 17, 18-year-olds. Just like that one lady who found her 15-year-old who was laying in bed. And like, how many kids didn't even get up and go to school? How many kids weren't on the bus? Where's the goddamn buses? Where's all the fucking parents? And it's still very disturbing, the footage of them, that person being hit with that laser light from the sky and going down, and then there's other people on the ground right before, and then that has come out now that FEMA thing is real. That guy's really arrested. Like, I don't know if they were really all busted with the grave thing, but it seems like it. Like, they were and the bodies had bullet holes. So there's just more and more to just keep coming out. But no matter what, we know we're under attack. We know that these people, and that they are kind of helpless people, so they hire criminals. And so we've got a whole criminal organization that's been elevated who is out to destroy us. So, you just gotta, you just start thinking on those terms, and things start going in a different light. And it's just disgusting. It is so absolutely disgusting, the Hawaii stuff, and the way they just went in and put up high rise. Just, nope, we're taking over here. We can make some money here. People will fly over here. And then somebody was just showing the beach. People are just out there just having their vacations, having a good time. And there's a problem with resources. There's debt, like, like, how fucking goddamn shallow. Like, seriously, there's a fucking crisis, but, I gotta go on vacation. I had the time off. I got the tickets 6 months ago. It's like, man, I don't know. This is the, and each of those individuals are probably running into different situations where they find their feet in their mouth or something. Like, everybody's going to feel it on different levels, and some people have to feel it like they have to be there and feel how disgusting of a person they are, and go home and sit with it as things change, because there's going to be all of this stuff. So you see yourself clearly. That's the big wave when it comes in. That's the part that's going to be hard. It's not going to just be the part, because for those of us who know, like, we know how rotten these people are. We know there's so much underhanded shit going on. So to us, It's going to be a welcome relief. It's going to feel good when that stuff starts coming in. And, you know, if you're like me and stuff and you saw like, okay, this is all to keep me distracted from doing my own work, to keep me working on me, is they're trying to distract me from that. And, you know, which is all their purpose, because I don't know, they probably hope that they can keep your energy trapped with theirs. I don't fucking know what their hell. But to know, you know, the understanding on the spiritual, how important it is for you to work on you, because you're going into this new time, this new age, and you can't just jump. You can't jump over. It's a journey, and anybody who's been on it knows it's fucking hard as fuck. It's not something that can be done in you know, a couple hours. It is a constant growing. Growing is you know, it's movement. It's changing. So you know, all of the just everybody's had their own focuses. But so when things turn and everything is like, you can't miss it. It's for sure. What we turned the other direction. Now we're talking about things very differently. You know, I mean, how did these people get themselves in the office? How did they force all these? Like, there's going to be different conversations. It's going to, you know, the turn will happen. When all that goes and we all start feeling more comfortable, all those people, which I'm saying not even just all the people who are on, you know, where people think the progressives, you know, because they're very locked into the mind control. I've got them in my family and they're working on themselves, but they're still locked into certain narratives. And so all of those people have all of that. Then you have all of these people who have been out there preaching and just focused on fear. And so when things switch, all of those different people, the people who are focusing on fear, they're going to all of a sudden feel like, oh my God, like they were just as lost as the people who were ignoring it. And they were judging those people. So there's a lot of things that they have to face. So there's a lot of people who are going to become very uncomfortable. It's, you know, to me, the people who are going to be comfortable are the people who were, you know, paying attention on a certain level that to me, I don't think you have to have like, you know, a really strong spiritual background, because that is waking up in people. But you got to learn how to connect to your inner voice, because your inner voice would be, well, you know, I mean, if your inner voice is telling you to go get that, and then you go get it, and then you find out that it wasn't good or something, it's because your inner voice it's about your role, your lessons. So, you know, if you're led to do something and then you find out like, well, what the fuck? Why did I do that? There's always a deeper thing. There's always more to it. There's always a deeper purpose. So you got to go into it more. That is where I go in contact, like, what the hell is going on? Why this? Why that? Like, so you just go in and you start talking to them and asking them. But you got to get through all of the other bullshit that you got up in there. The hormones are out of balance can totally be influencing all of your endocrine, all your let's see, the hormones and the endocrine and the because the ones that the serotonin and all those, I can't think of what that's called. Okay, so your metabolic, your endocrine, and your hormonal. So those things being out of whack, see, that's loud in your head. Like, people don't realize that has a heavy influence. And so you got to get yourself in balance. Everything's about balance. And each person's individual. You can't just go and rely on, well, this guy, he got balanced just by drinking smoothies. No, you go to start drinking some smoothies and you feel worse, then you need to go with how you feel. You need to go with, okay, that's not going to work. You know, I got to listen, because all of it goes back to you listening to your body, this mind, body, spirit, connecting to yourself, not, you know, what works for them. You can go out and get all these different informations, but it's just adding to your library. It's not so that you just go do what somebody else is doing. It is to give you more reference so you can have more more places for you to figure out. It's just like you get more windows. The more information you add in, the more windows in your building, the more you can see out. So it's always good to go out and listen to what works for other people, but don't just, like if you got cancer and you go and you listen to these people and they're like, oh, this worked and just did this in 6 months, my tumors were gone, and you're trying it and it's not working for you. Then go and you got to try other things. There's lots of things to try, but don't just think, oh, well, it worked for him, so that's the only way. That's the only thing that will work is this. You got to figure out what works for you. Because remember, all of us are all possibilities. So it's not going to be just the same possibility as for everybody. There's going to be little quirks, little tiny things that and it could be something that's like, it worked really good for me to drink carrot juice and celery juice and chaga tea, but then I had to add in citrus. I really needed citrus because it could be something from your area or something from your DNA. It could be something that somebody else has in their environment that you don't have, but it's all or something inside of you that needs that. There's something in your structure that needs a certain thing. So that's why you've got to figure you out all the time. And don't just, try something, a couple days and you don't like it, then, like the apple cider vinegar hair rinse thing. Like I've tried it a couple times and I'll probably try it again. Now my hair is so much more coated with, I brush the shit out of it. Like I am not kidding you. If you're trying to do this and you're finding it frustrating and you're finding like, oh my God, I just feel like my hair is dirty and stuff, just keep brush. And seriously, it's like fucking moving wax down your hair. And you just got to keep doing it. And you'll think like, oh, okay, it's all coated now. But it like absorbs it in. And then you'll see like, oh, it's still dry. Like from my hair, like down here, it still will stay dry. So I'll just brush. But I know that is why. It's like a sensor. So I feel as soon as I get it really coated really well with all of my hair, with this waxy coating stuff, to me, it's just so strange because it's so breaking from the norm to go natural and to be like, well, if my hair is doing this, this is what it's supposed to be. Y'all telling me I need to strip it and then add a bunch of chemicals on it to mimic what my hair does naturally. It doesn't make any sense to me. In the cleaning, you'll see the brushing is cleaning it. Your hair is not dirty. It's not going to have stuff in it. Like you'll see stuff in the brush, lint and stuff like that. So your hair will be clean. And I'm telling you, it's like it's weaving silk or something. Like the texture of my hair now and the body and stuff, like this is how our hair is supposed to be. I just feel certain of it. And I don't care if somebody comes up and tells me. And I smell it all the time. It doesn't smell like anything. It doesn't smell gross and sweaty, nothing. And then I'll spray like essential oils and stuff and that will smell really good. But it doesn't just stay on your hair all, like it's, I don't know. I don't smell essential oil when I smell my hair. It just smells like nothing. Just smells like nothing. And, but the texture and everything is so much better. So, and I would think, I think when we have like different kind of body odors and stuff, I think that is times when we need to just look at detoxing and, something is missing in those are signs and signals our body's giving us that we need to pay attention to something. And then we got to try and figure out what it is. And so, I would think anything with a lot of different kinds of body odor and stuff, it can be totally, like the one that is for women that is in the lower section, that has to do with alkaline and acid. You use boric acid you get the little capsules and you put boric acid in there and then you do it like a suppository into the vagina and it puts everything back in balance. Where all these girls are like, oh, it smells fishy and stuff. That's out of balance. That's where the pH gets out of balance. And it can have to do with other people's pH going in there and putting it out of balance. So those little capsules, you can look up about that. But that is where you just got to learn about your body, You just got to learn about what it's trying to tell you. And they've kept everybody so distracted on the wrong things all the time. Like, I was paying attention on a different level than other people because I didn't care, like, what other people, like, it was way strong. It was way more important to me. Like, I couldn't go against my inner. It didn't matter, if everybody's standing there telling me I'm a stupid idiot and laughing at me. I still had to go with what I knew on the inside. And, the voices people say the voices in your head, but the voices in my head were much strong, and they were smart, constantly telling me shit. Where I was like, yeah, I'll go with these guys. Well, there's gonna be back there. Oh, they're back there. They're back there, all right. So, and they make fun of you guys sometimes. No, they don't like make fun of people. It's not like they're sitting there making fun, but there is a part of that is humorous. There is a part, but it isn't like a mean kind of thing. It's kind of like, for they know not what they do, but it's just like you forgot, because as soon as you get over, you remember. As soon as you leave this storyline, as soon as you pass out of this avatar, as soon as you are released from this containment center, you remember. So that is the part that is funny, is like watching people who are so serious about something, but it's just like, but you just forgot. You just forgot. So it's kind of like that, like, kind of like a grandma laughing at a 2-year-old trying to walk. So it's like, they're not mean laughing, but there's some humor going on. So, but see, that's another place where you got to find that discernment, because, you got the dark energy, and everybody has got it. Everybody's got a dark energy attached to them. And you know what? This girl, or this guy, he keeps doing these videos, and he's got this little girl, and she keeps talking to somebody who's not there. So he started doing these videos talking about it. And so all these people are interested. Every time I run across one of these videos, I'm always interested. And so she calls her sister. I think the little girl is like 4 years old or something. I can't remember. I think she's like around 4 or 5 or something. And she has this girl that she's always playing with. And so the dad has started asking her more questions, because she calls her sister. And so he started asking, like, what does she look like? And, what does she do? Or where's she from? All this kind of stuff. Oh, she's a fucking ghost kid. She's definitely a ghost kid. She's just some kid that this girl has run across or something. But, when she hangs out with any of these kids that are saying that, you got to really realize that they are seeing, it's all frequency. It's all frequency, what you can see. So you don't want to break that out of a kid. You don't want them to, no, that's fake. That's fake. Oh, just pay attention to this. That's what has happened to so many people. You got told, no, that's not real. That's not real. That's not real. Well, how's it not real? It's happening. It's happening right here in front of me, but you're telling me this isn't happening, but it's happening. So it fucked with a lot of people's heads. And I don't know how many people were shamed and belittled, and because somehow they got everybody to be contained in their brain. But in that movie, this Dracula movie, and so, when you think about these people are vampires, like the people who run this world, there they are. And so, and then just the fact that there's always been people that have come here to feed off of us. Just like what I was saying yesterday, let's think about how people look at cows and pigs and chickens and alligators and turtles and frogs and fish and shrimp and lobsters and crabs and octopus. Like, just look at how we are. And so these beings that kind of feed off of us. So in this movie, it is, like I said, a time when, so they're going on the ships. And one guy said, because there could be rats all over the ship. And I was like, oh, gross. Why is there rats on the ship? You'd think there wouldn't be rats, like on something out in the water like that. But anyways, later on in the movie, the guy says, you know, when all the rats are disappearing, he was saying something about how eerie it is. He's like, it's not natural. Be on a ship and there's no rats. That's just not natural. I was like, weird. So they totally just rats. Like, oh, those people just sleeping on the ground and stuff. Like, people roughed it, man. Fuck, they roughed it. Look at us. We're a bunch of pussy bitches. Oh, I've got to have air conditioning in my car. I can't do much without it. Okay. So anyways, there was all these people. They could just send stuff. You could go down and you could take crates and send them over. And on these ships, they had animals, and they would be eating the animals on the way. Like, there's a whole livestock area on these ships. And then there's a whole part where everybody's luggage and shit. But it was a lot more, I mean, it wasn't like the Titanic or something. This is like your luggage you brought some boxes. Well, for us, we had cardboard boxes. Back then, you'd have to make it. So you like crates with your shit in it. And then I don't think these kind of ships, these container ships where people like us would travel, you know, wouldn't be like the richer people wouldn't travel on this boat. Well, I don't know. I guess there could have been somebody who was like, oh, well, I really got to get over there and could hitch a ride. And then they would be like, well, I need quarters. And the captain would be like, well, I'm the only one that's got quarters around here. And then they would want to pay him to take over their court. God, these people were really, these fucking aristocrat people, they are up their ass like, bitch. So in the movie, they've got all these crates down there. And so this one's coming from Romania. And this whole storyline is this girl gets found, and she's the one who tells more. And so this Dracula, he is in a castle, and it's above this village. So it's like this little Romanian village. And then he lives in this castle above it. You know, so they're the peasants, and he's the aristocrat. And everybody fears him. And this fellow had wings and everything, and he looked like fucking Rockefeller is what he looked like, the guy right before he died, and creepy motherfucker. And carry this fucking thing, what are those things called? Like a cane or something, like a walking stick. But the walking stick had like a monster gargoyle head or something. So just this creepy fucking top hat weirdo fucker. And so he had eaten up all the people. So he needed to move. So he was getting shipped over to London so he could go over there and start eating all those people. But just hearing that thing, like, I haven't ever read Dracula. I think I started to read it one time. I don't remember. I know I had the Bram Stoker one. I don't know. It must have been something else going on, because I never did read it. I feel sure I never read it. But that kind of, those old stories and stuff, those are real. Like, those are not just like old stories. Like, those come from somewhere. And then as we, go through this process and start seeing, like, man, those people, they are seriously these vampire people. And they seriously are way older than what we think. They seriously have moved around the world like that. Like, I don't know. Yeah, the whole thing is, we run by these vampires for fucking long ass time. And it's kind of like, yeah, because what made them was kind of like, it wasn't like they needed blood to live off of, but then they became dependent on it, because there's stuff like the tortured blood and stuff like that is adrenalized and whatnot. It's euphoric. That's so fucking creepy to me. Fuck. Oh my God, I can't believe how creepy that is. oh God, I can't even, to torture somebody, steal their blood, drink it, and then feel their fear. That's fucking, and then to want to feel that. Oh, fuck, that is so fucking creepy. Oh, these people, I just, like, I don't know. They're different. They're different than us, I think. Humans are compassionate, loving creatures that just want to live and be happy and be together and celebrate and stuff. We've just, they tried to twist a lot of people. A lot of people found themselves twisted, but those parts all had to be played out. It's all so much more than what we think. Even when we try and go down to, well, we figured it out, it's this. Oh, no, it's way more than that. Everything's way more than that. It's just way more, way more, way more. Everything's way more. It's such an expansion. And I just saw this interview with Oliver Anthony. And so he was saying he's not a mountain person. He is rural Virginia. I think his grandpa lived in the mountains or something. So he had been... he knew that lifestyle or whatever. And his grandma was a singer. And so he started doing music all the way back when he was young. But he never would do anything with it. He would go to a party and he would play and sing and stuff. And everybody would be like, oh my God, you're so good. You got to do something with this. And he said that then it would make it even worse. He said it was worse. And I would just sit there and feel bad about myself that I wasn't doing something. And he said he'd just start drinking and just smoking weed and drinking and just, would disappear from himself. And that is what I'm saying is so many people have done that. They just, even when you have that voice inside of you telling you, and you start having other ones telling you which direction to go, what you should be doing. Oh, you got to do this, and you, this feeling about, well, I'm not good enough. How do I even do it? But when your energy changes and you start going in that direction, it starts coming to you. So that's what I'm saying. The two timelines is the one timeline is when you're sitting there like, you can't live up to your own, you just are in fear of yourself. And it's a lot to pursue. And what if it doesn't go right? And how do I even do it? God, I'm not even good enough. I don't even know how to do it. So how can I do it? I'm not good enough to do it. So I may as well not do it. Just sit there and beat yourself. And that's where that dark energy is. That's a party for them. And so that's the one timeline that I'm always talking about where you're in your lessons. It's the lessons timeline. It's like you're there learning this stuff. But then all of a sudden it clicks. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. And you just turn and for him, I think it was whatever his rock bottom, was just, I'm not sure. I think he's out there talking about it and stuff. But something turned. And then he changed, his come to Jesus moment. He even started talking to God and said, if you change my life, I will let you use me to speak your words or whatever. And so everything started going in the other direction, but it's him who changed. He changed directions. He turned towards his spiritual side. He went in that direction. That's the jumping timelines. To me, from my perspective, when I hear people talking about this jumping timelines, and everybody's like, thinks that they're just jumping timelines every night and jumping timelines. Oh, the moon's so I'm jump timelines. It's like the way you jump timelines is changing your perspective. Then you've changed your timeline. You've changed because now he's on that one. He could have gone that whole way. And destiny occurs. So whatever's going to happen is always going to happen. But if he would have just continued that way into never believing in himself and stuff like that, then he would have got to the other side. And then it would have been like, oh, see the error, try it again, try it again, try it again, try it again. Because you're trying to get over this one hump. And so, but, in this storyline that's going to be happening, there's going to be so many of these stories where people realize, they turn directions and everything changes. So he turned directions And everything started changing. Everything, you know, his whole life has changed. And he's not caught up in it. He's like giving money away. Like he gets money, he gives it away. He's not all about, like the things that, and this is a part of the awakening, is these kinds of people. And so where we had people who just valued money. Now, oh, money, money, money. And what do you need in your world? Well, money, that's all I need, just money. Love became paid. You know, all of a sudden girls were like, you know, well, if he's got money, he's got me. It's like, okay. And there was a lot of lessons we had to learn. A lot of people got treated like shit because they prioritized money over, you know, human contact or feelings or a lot of things. A lot of bad things happen prioritizing money. And so the switching timelines is when you start going in the direction of your guidance. But even if you don't hear, there's like an inner knowing. But it has to do with this changing into loving yourself. It's like once you stop with this beating yourself down and all of a sudden you turn to loving yourself, like this process of the come to Jesus thing, because that is what I've been calling it for since 2016. I've been saying that, and everybody thought it, like my family, it would be like, you're so weird. Nobody's going to be coming to Jesus. And I was like, you just don't know what I mean. You don't know what I'm talking about. But I do. It's like that same fucking thing. Some cocky ass bastard, you know, doesn't need anybody, doesn't need, you know, screwing everybody over, doesn't give a fuck about anybody. And then, you know, finds himself out on a sailboat in a storm, and then finds himself on a lifeboat by himself out in the middle of the ocean, doesn't know which direction to go, doesn't know what's going to happen, it's hot as fuck. All of a sudden, things aren't just about him anymore. There's a come to Jesus moment. There's the acknowledgement of something more, something bigger, at least the hopes. So, but you don't have to hope, it's real. Like, it is real. So I'm telling you, I've been talking to it for my whole fucking life. So but that is those come to Jesus moments. And that is where all of these people are going through, you know, what really matters, what's real. But it's like a space and time. There's like a darkness where you've got to make the choice. You got to choose you. And you have to, and my daughter, and when you understand about words and stuff, it just drives me so crazy sometimes, the things that she'll say. Like, oh, well, I'll never get out of this sick. I'm done. I will never get better and stuff like that. It's like, come on. And she's super, super sick. She said everything in her whole body hurts so bad. And I'm like, you got to detox. You got to detox. You got to detox. Please go detox. And I'm too sick. I can't do it. I can't. It's like, oh my God. So you're just going to just lay there and not do anything? You have to do something. You have to fight for your own life, not just, you know, keep messaging me and saying, I wish you were here to take care of me. It's like, come on, this is about you learning how to take care of yourself. And, but everybody's got to jump into that. And yeah, of course, I'd love to be over there and, you know, care for my child. But like, it's not rational or reasonable. Like, for me to, you know, here we're going to load up, drive 6.5 hours to go over there. So to make you soup, it's like, I don't know. It's frustrating when you know some things and you just, yeah. There's just a lot of frustration through this for me. Like, you know, just knowing some of the things before people is hard. And even I've gone through so much time trying to tell people and stuff. And it's just been, you know, people not listening and thinking I'm crazy always. So, you know, I was just like, I gotta just sit back and like, oh, it's like, oh, God, what's next? What's next? Come on, just hurry. How does have shit go down? Like, fuck, I just fucking hope. like September is fucking it. Like, come on. Fucking crash this motherfucking dollar. Arrest that motherfucking Joe. Like, let's get this show on the road. Like, come on. These people are just going to have to catch up. They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. And it's going to be hard no matter what. Like, I mean, my kids are going to be going down, like, they're still, until it is shown on the news or something, I don't know. They're not going to believe it. So, something big's got to occur. And so it's got to be time. I just hope to God it really is. And it's weird how in all these fucking movies about the end of the world, how they're always saying it's September 23rd, September 23rd, this, September, all these movies. Like if you see that video of somebody who did all of the little scenes out of that movie, September 23rd, September 23rd, all these different movies. It's like, oh my gosh. That has got to be a sure sign. Something has got to go down. And but there's all sorts of other things too that all kind of go with it. And so anyways, I think I'm just going to really hold hope that September is finally our month where things, really take a big turn for us. Like it's already happening in other countries. And, and then we keep up all these countries. Oh, no, we don't want the dollar. No, fuck the dollar. So, and then it's just one storm after another, just, massacring. And then at the same time, you have all these people who are like another 15-minute city. They already had the meetings. Like it's crazy. Like this is the absurdity, like on the Maui one, they just had the meeting and then they go in and blow. It's like, because all this shit has to be so absurd. It has to be so outrageous to get our attention. And even when it is so outrageous, there's still so many people who just like, what are you talking about? I don't know. What's the big deal? Like, there's always fires. Fires every year. What is your big deal about it? Okay. Nothing to see here. I guess climate change for you is, lock me down, give me a prison cell and hold me and contain me and feed me worms and for climate change. I mean, I don't even see how just the logic, like there's a new containment center that there is even more crazy. I can't remember what this one, some billionaire who is, what is his association? Can't remember who he's an offshoot off of. But he's got plans for this 15-minute city. It's like 500 million people contained in his little fucking city thing. It just is so weird. Like, who wants to fucking live in some goddamn building? Like, I want to go be out by nature. So, and the logic behind it is so fucking ridiculous. Like, there's a problem feeding all these people, so let's put them all together and let's just take it on. We'll figure out how to feed them. Like, come on, people. Like, what in the hell? But then you got these adult ass people. Well, I don't know how to cook. Why would I learn how to cook? There's DoorDash. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. I bug. To me, is fucking people who are so dependent and so far from independent that they're the ones who are gonna go down with the ship. Like, you either start fucking figuring out how to take care of yourself or forget about it. And that, but to me, it just is like the logic behind not telling us that we can all have our own, like, it's up to you. We're going to give you a piece of property, feed yourself, feed your family. That's it. Everybody gets their own piece of property. Go live there, and let's see what we do with the climate for that. But no. And this was a good one somebody did, because they were talking about, like, for us, everything comes from, like, Indonesia and China and stuff like that. But then when they show the route to get all these export-import things, it's like they're using all of these resources that they tell us there's not enough of, so that we don't do our resources at our own place. They're just moving resources around. It makes no sense. And this was, one of them was like a food thing. Like they could grow kiwi where they are, But instead, they've got to buy it from South America or something like that. And it's got to go through all this routing system. And that is what they did to Hawaii. Like when you go and you start listening to what went on, is, you know, it was a self-sustaining place. And they went in and took that away from them. And then they started saying, oh, well, it's climate shit. No, it's not. It's you guys trying to control shit. And then the people who believe you. No fucking climate change bullshit. So fucking irritating. I just can't even blame it. Well, it's right around you. What are the storms? Ugh. Go look up about fucking technology. Go look up about what they do. And our money paid for it. Our money paid for the weapons they use on us. Like, that's some bullshit. So, I don't know. To me, I just feel like the tensions. There's this video I just saw. I watched the whole thing today. I've seen it go by a couple times, and I hadn't watched the whole thing. But it's this darker skin guy, and you know, I love the way some people's dialect. I just love how they talk. But his message was to the people. Because Joe, I guess, has put it out that, you know, he's going to make sure, you know, we're going to all be forced to get these things for this new one. And this guy's video, yeah, you just come and try. You come and try, Joe. It's, he wants them to come and try. I'm like, yeah, I'm with this guy. And he says, I'll die for what I believe in. And that's how I feel. Like, what is worth living? What is life about? If you don't stand for something, if you don't stand for yourself, like, what is it all about? Like, why would you just keep going and turning yourself over for somebody else? Like, I feel very strong about, like, I will die for, you know, like, if they want to come and start holding me down and putting anything inside me, they better fucking just plan on using a gun. Because I will fucking fight. And it's so sad, too, because the footage coming into my head, because there was people who were, like, oh, fuck, this one little old lady I saw a video of, and she was so small and skinny, and she was fighting like hell. 5 people, and she was screaming. And, of course, she was indigenous. I think it was in Australia. And I think fuck is, it makes me sick. Because they're forcing it so much on, this is such a genocide. Fuck, this makes me so sick. That's why I should sit there and just tell them, no, because they did wipe out a lot of light skin colored people with the things too. I don't know. You just don't know, because it had to do with the lot numbers, and there was definitely a direct weapon in some of them. They were definitely targeting certain nationalities, certain people. So, I don't know. There's so much, there's so much stuff. There's so much, like, there's no way you could even cover everything. There's just so much. But to me, it is like that energetic thing. I was saying, like, it's this big buildup. There's so much going, but it's this giant buildup. But this giant buildup is what forces us the other direction. And that's what puts everything in movement into that new direction. It's what, I think, what brings on the solar flash. I think it is what, you know, catapults us into this new landscape. And I think it's going to, the firmament, I think all of that, I think everything is going to be like a really dramatic change after this other thing occurs, after these people all start waking up. And then the energy going the other direction is going to just open up the whole world for us. It's going to, like, open up the whole universe. Everything, like, we're going to be able to go past the ice walls. We're going to be able to move differently. We're going to be able to travel differently. We're going to, you know, everything is going to be so different. Like, there's other races. Like, I don't think the Palladians, I don't think they eat. Like, I think that we're going to go more into that kind of thing. Like, there's no reason to be arguing about how we eat. right now. Like people want to argue about every little, well, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's a process. I think it's all a process. It's all a process to move us more towards our inner knowing of who we are and what we are. And then when you focus on that and you understand, you're just an image, but you're the power inside the image. And the power inside the image doesn't need, like, we can live off hugs. So, we're developing. So, I would just say, as you're going through your food process, don't feel like it's a process. That's all I can say. It's not like you're going to just be that way forever. I think everybody's going to keep changing and stuff. I think we're going to go into that kind of place where we just don't, like, we could eat if we wanted to. Like, we wanted to eat some berries. Oh, I want to taste one of those berries. Like, we could do it to taste the berry, or we wanted to, I really would love to have a cheeseburger again one day. And that's where you get that little pill and you take it and it gives you that whole thing of like a cheeseburger. Like, I think it's going to be more like that. I don't think we're going to, like, all of this thing with the resources. Like, we need these resources. We're not even flesh and blood. They lied to us about the flesh and blood. They lied to us about the globe. They lied to us about all this shit. So we didn't need to kill all these animals to eat them, ever. We didn't ever need to. But it's, well, when you go back to the tribes and stuff, when they were living naturally, and, but see, that's a more primitive lifestyle. Like, we're moving out of this primitive lifestyle, but they moved us towards gluttony. Like, some of the recipes, oh my God. Like, what in the holy hell with some of these recipes I see people do? It's like people just want to, I'm just going to make a little heart attack right here. And it tastes so good. Let's all, like, everybody make this heart attack. And let's all enjoy it together. It's like, and it's got to be like obesity factor calories. Like, fuck, that's got to be just one little piece. It's got to be your daily thing for all your calories. And that is a big jolt of all those calories at once. It's a big jolt to your insulin, like all those things. But that's where, people have gotten so out of control on the glutton, not thinking about their health, not thinking about their bodies. And especially during this time of sickness, the two sides of the coin are just getting so much more bigger. Like, there's so much death, but then these people still lock in, like, eat like shit, don't take care of yourself. And it's like, oh my gosh. But these poles is gives you distinct, because where we want to be is in this part. And then remember, the poles, they're responsible for themselves. They're going to see the error of their own ways. They'll have their own come to Jesus moments. But for us, we gotta be looking like some of those recipes and shit, when they're fucking hell, like, take a cake mix, pour in some chocolate chips, pour in some cream cheese, pour on some butter, then put another chocolate, put a brownie mix on top of that, then put in some nuts, make some caramel sauce. It's just like, what the fuck? Yeah, it tastes good, but fuck, there's got to be a point where we care about our health too. Like, maybe a bite of that, but I don't know. There's people out there just making these recipes, and then you got these people out there 400 or 500 pounds who don't know how to lose weight, but enjoy those recipes. Like, there's a overall change that happens in our whole society. Like, this creation of a collective, like, those things are going to change. And that's why it's like, the ones that can't change, to me, just go down with the ship. This is all about change. This is all about transition. This is all about, reform. We are completely reforming what life was. We're creating a new way of life. And so I think, once we realized food had nothing to do with energy, food was much more of a device, a distraction, it was a thing to be abused. It was a thing to find comfort. It was a lot of shit, A lot is associated with food and energy and all of those things. That's all coming up to the surface. But it is all a part for us to start to understand. But anyways, as far as it seems to me that the food is a development, we're going to move more towards like that we won't eat. Because why would we need to eat? Why do we need to put food into something that doesn't need food? So anyways, but we still have, there's a whole programming thing. Yesterday I made really good, I had that pumpkin left. So I was going to make pumpkin muffins, but then I was like, oh, I'm going to make a pumpkin loaf. So as I go in and look at the recipes for pumpkin muffins, and then you see some of these recipes, and then when you go and look at a recipe, and then you'll have a million recipes pop up. And so I was like, oh my God. Every time like I'm going, it's just like recipe. And some of them is just like, oh my God, people. Like, gotta care more about your health than just how good something can taste for 5 minutes. But that's that same thing what I was talking about with like those hormones, like certain hormones that'll come up, and somebody is like totally overtaken by them. And like it happens to women, or I think it happens to men too. It happens to humans with food. It happens to them with sex. It happens to them with crime. It happens to a lot of different things where they'll go do things because they're all caught up in the emotion. And then after that hormone level goes back down, then they feel like, oh God, I'm so dirty. I'm so gross. That kind of feeds what is that? The part where women will eat a bunch and then they go puke it out because they feel so disgusted by themselves. Like, oh my God, I'm so disgusting. But they get caught up in that kind of thing. Like, or something about, I don't know, there's a comforting thing to food. And I don't know all the different relationships people have had with food. Like, there's a lot of distortion in a lot of the different developments that people have adapted to in our environment, in a living society. So, there's something with the hormones and stuff getting people caught up. Like, you get somebody real caught up in some sexy hormones, right? And they'll do some really weird shit. And then after they finish doing weird shit, then they'll be like, oh God, I'm so gross. Ugh. And will feel shame. And then if they keep doing those kinds of things, then see, they got to go find a whole group of them. So then they've got like, I guess shocking as it may be, like these porn people, like, I mean, they can go to the hub, like they have meeting places. They have places where they interact and stuff, like in comments and stuff, like even on little girls' pages, like. So anyways, just all of this different stuff, as far as I'm concerned, this is all about change. This is all about you changing you into who you are going to be. There's going to be big changes on the planet. There's going to be big changes in us as beings, but we're in all of this transition. And for sure, to me, it's all about the awakening. It's all about this transitioning and becoming your best self. And so anyways, 117, that's a number I see sometimes it is shocking. Like when I'm driving, it's like, how many times can I see this number in one day? It's so crazy. And I saw somebody doing a thing about that a number, if you see a certain number over and over, the chances are so slim that you're going to see that. And I'll see that motherfucking number, Jesus, 20 times a day. It's weird. It's weird how I can go. And yeah, that yesterday where it was, I was so positive. It was 3:30. I swear, I kept seeing that in my head. I kept seeing myself looking at the clock, and it was 3:30. And I'm so glad that guy told me, no, it was 2:20 when you said, because it was really messing with my head. I was like, how could I have done that whole thing? It was an hour. No, it had to be 2:20 because it was an hour. And so I kept doing that all the time, but in my head, I kept seeing it was 3:30. And so it was really messing with my head. Oh yeah, and this morning too, even when I woke up and I was laying in my bed, and it's totally dark. Like, it's still fucking dark right now, and it's 6:17. It's so fucking dark. And so I was laying there and I was like, I wonder what time it is. And so I, in my head, was like, well, I'm it's like there's all these conversations because I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to go. So they just said, well, use your mind and go out and look at the clock and see what time it is. And so then I thought, so I did it and I said, oh, it's 4:03. And then I was like, oh, I don't want to go and look. And they're go look. And I was like, oh, I don't want to go look. I don't want to get up. And so then I got up a few minutes later and it was 4:08. So these are all things I think, practice. All of these kinds of things about using your mind. You can do way more with your mind. They know that, the CIA and shit. That's why they were getting people who could do stuff with their minds. They were using them. And what is that called? Because like astral projection is you being able to project out consciously. And what is that one though? It's called something. Because when you can go and look, like they can go just like that, where you can go and you use your mind, you get yourself up and you go look. And I can't think of what that's called, but the CIA and other groups too were using those people to go and look at things. I had watched things about those people. There's people who are really, really good at it. Like they've tested them, and they can go in and they can go and find papers. They can pull papers out of drawers. They can look at them and read the papers, and all of the stuff is really there. So this stuff is real. But we have to just learn more about ourselves. We've just been held back, stagnated over our gifts and who we are. But it is, the stagnation though is you holding yourself back. That's the thing. Once everybody realizes that they're holding themselves back, and it seems to me that most people hold themselves back by trying to please others because they don't want to be the weird one. They want to be the strange one. They don't want to be laughed at. They don't want to be made fun of. So everybody's trying to just fit in. So that's where you want to start. Stop trying to fit in. Just start trying to not fit in. Start trying to just be your weirdest self that you are comfortable being. Just go be your weird self. And the more you don't fit in, the more that you just become you, it'll just naturally start happening. When things start going, things get, you remember things and you find yourself feeling sad about something. Don't distract yourself from that. Go with that. That's coming in for a reason. So you want to go with it. Think about it. Go deeper into it. Try and remember it more. Try and see it, because that is you releasing it. And when you can go in and you can relive it, you can see it, you can release it, you can let it go. And that's what you want to do. That's the aim. That's where you feel, you will feel lighter. The more you release, the lighter you feel. So anyways, work on releasing stuff today, and I will talk to you later.